Sorry about that, babe.
Contra, originally released in the arcades, was developed and published by Konami and ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America on February 2nd of 1988. What's there really to say about it? It's an absolute classic, run-and-gun gameplay at its purest. Even though it's a formality, I guess we'll dig into the nuts and bolts of this masterpiece. In Contra on the NES, it takes place in 1987 where you control one, or two if two-player mode, commandos named Lance aka Scorpion or Bill aka Mad Dog. They are then sent on a mission to neutralize the cruelest life form in the galaxy known as Red Falcon in order to stop his universal domination. With an interesting twist, as the game progresses you realize that it's not just humans and machines that you're up against. The art style and direction of Contra seems to be a mishmash of various wonderful action/sci-fi movies of the era, such as Predator, Aliens, and in general anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger and or Sylvester Stallone. You will run, gun, and jump your way through 8 varying stages including the jungle, the base, the waterfall, phase 2, snowfield, energy zone, hangar, and alien's lair. All these levels finish off with a boss, some of which are uniquely designed, others, somewhat lazily. Some stages of note are stage 2 and 4, which are the base stages. They feature a different perspective of being behind your hero and needing to blast away some lock gauge type mechanisms in order to advance. This has become a staple in the Contra series, which offers up different modes other than the standard side-scrolling run-and-gun action to keep things interesting. Graphically, I feel that Contra does set the mood in terms of where you are in the game. The most memorable, aside from the first stage jungle, to me are the snowfield and the alien's lair, which do a wonderful job of thrusting you into brand new environments. I feel that the game also really runs smoothly considering how much could be going on at the screen at once, with rather minimal slowdown in a few areas and not much distracting NES flicker. The music, as you could probably expect from a Konami game of this era, is absolutely amazing. If you want to talk about music that gets you in the mood to shoot things into oblivion and helps immerse you into your environment, this soundtrack does exactly that. Originally composed by Kazuki Muraoka, and then for the NES Famicom version by Hidenori Miyazawa and Kiyohiro Sada, they all do a wonderful job whether it's the conception of the tracks or to shift it to the home console. The controls of Contra thankfully are very tight and navigable. You'd hope so given the fast-paced nature of running guns, and in this instance it does deliver. Occasionally I do find myself struggling with certain aspects such as diagonal down shooting, laying down/falling through floor mechanics and so forth, but in general that kinda just comes down to user error when mistakes are made. If a game like this were to have poor controls it would be a huge detriment, but that's not the case here. Contra is perhaps most renowned for its difficulty. Unless you have an invincible barrier, it's simple, one hit and you die. Yes, you do have the ability to gain extra lives as well as use the famed Konami code for even more, but if you play the game straight up it can be quite the challenge. I recently completed the game Deathless, and if you'd like to watch that, take a look at the pinned comment or description below. Lots of timing, memorization, fast twitch reflexes, and even small bouts of RNG go into your success or failure at the game. A wide variety of weapon options are available throughout, such as a machine gun, fireball, or the OP spread gun in order to aid you in your journey. The aforementioned force field power-up is also teamed up with a mass destruction and a rapid fire power-up to go along with your weapon choices. One of the greatest aspects of Contra is the fact that it features a 2-player mode that is almost just as good or better than the 1-player. I played through the 2-player mode in the past with my friend and we did beat the game some 10 plus years ago, and I found that the 2-player mode was very fun, challenging, and rewarding in its own way, having to work as a team to make sure that you're in sync as you progress through a level. Ultimately though, I am a single-player guy, and that pretty much is the only way that I've played Contra since then. Can't go wrong with either play mode really. As stated, Contra is a powerhouse and is renowned as one of the greatest NES games of all time, and it's deserved. I give Contra on the NES a 9.5 out of 10. While Contra might not squeak its way into my top 25 games of all time personally, I'm looking at this objectively, and what else can you really want from this game? From a run and gun and action standpoint in the 8-bit era, this is almost as good as it can get. Great graphics, soundtrack, challenge, addictive and tight gameplay, with perhaps the only true critique being one that is almost universal throughout the NES library: it can be a bit too short and would have been a little nice if there were a few more levels. But for those wanting replay value, you do have the aforementioned 1 and 2 player modes to differentiate and keep things fresh, of course if you have somebody to play with. Contra is legendary. If you've enjoyed this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing if you haven't already. I do my best to reply to all comments on all videos. Until next time.